Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.
Welcome to the lovely Eldoret County, where we have another mind-blowing edition of the Great Debaters Contest ready for you. It's my pleasure to host you. I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok. Our motion today is, should adolescents be given contraceptives because of the rise in teenage pregnancies? Supporting this motion, we have St. Teresa's of Avila and St. Mary's Girls. Who will be the victor?
We'll begin with the first proposer. You have 3 minutes.
She who comes first sits where she wills at the hill. That is why I, Lavender Minor, take to proposing that adolescents should be provided with contraceptives. A drug, a device, or an initiative taken to prevent pregnancies. Parents in the house, how would you feel to wake up one day and your daughter gives you the information that she's pregnant or she has an STI? Then, how would you also feel if your son tells you, Mom, Dad, I have gotten a certain girl pregnant? Food for thought. From the Synovate report released on October 2013, published on the Daily Nation, 7.3 million girls worldwide are conceiving day in, day out. And 70,000 of these girls are dying due to birth delivery-related complications. Now, will we keep on losing girls? Will we keep on losing engineers, pilots, doctors, presidents due to early pregnancies? And yet, we have the solutions in our hands, which is contraceptives. Will we? I propose that adolescents should be given contraceptives because the point is clear. We have spoke the message of abstinence day in, day out, and it's not proving to be practical. Now, let's give these adolescents contraceptives. And it is not if we're giving you contraceptives, it's a ticket, it's a go-ahead, or it's not like we're telling you, here are the contraceptives, now go engage in sexual immoralities. No. What we're simply telling you is that if you're going to engage in the sexual immoralities, please be safe. It won't cost you anything to put your life in a stable position in the future by using a contraceptive. And if you think it will cost you anything, try ignorance of what I am saying. Ladies and gentlemen, high number of girls outside there are being victims of discrimination. For example, if I was a pregnant young girl in uniform and I walk into this room, whispers will follow me. And do you think those whispers will be congratulating me because I'm pregnant at an early age? If you can't wait for the right time to indulge in sex, then let's provide our adolescents with contraceptives. It's not only about the girls. Look about the boys who impregnate girls at a very early age. They will be kicked out by their parents. These two adolescents will be forced to get married to each other at a very young age. They don't know anything about bringing up a child. Now, Kenya will have a high number of street families because they'll tend to disagree. Thank you.
Opposer number 1, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Daisy Chelagat from St. Mary's Girls Church Asis. Actually, I'm here to oppose the use of contraceptives. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so fortunate that I'm from a family which is very religious. And according to the Bible, we are told that children are a gift from God. Why should you use contraceptives to prevent pregnancy? First and foremost, immorality, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm a youth, I'm a teenage, I know very well that there's a way that I can prevent pregnancy. Ladies and gentlemen, won't I use condoms to prevent pregnancy? That is evident. I will use condoms to prevent pregnancy. And that I'll have that habit of continuing to have sexual behavior, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't find it possible for anyone to use contraceptives. Another point is that use of contraceptives may lead to infertility. Ladies and gentlemen, we have contraceptives. Contraceptives comes from two words, that is contra and septives. Contra means against, and septives means against conception. Ladies and gentlemen, once again I want to say that God God himself actually gives us children. Huenda kawa Obama. Why should you, ladies and gentlemen, prevent children from getting born? I don't find any reason of anyone preventing children from getting born by the use of contraceptives, because these contraceptives are against conception. That is, one does not get pregnant when one uses contraceptives. We have infertility, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, we have the T coil which is put in the uterus, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at your fingernails, and ladies and gentlemen, you find that all of you, everybody has different fingernails. This is because, ladies and gentlemen, when you use a contraceptive, it may not work out as the other person. Everybody has his or her own view of contraceptives. So, you may use the contraceptive and all may not be well with you, ladies and gentlemen. You may use the contraceptive and control, and actually, when you continue using the contraceptives, this may lead to infertility. So I don't find any reason. You were not infertile at the first, use contraceptives, come infertile. That is very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So I want also to oppose the use of contraceptives, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
We'll now hear rebuttals. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Salutations, gentle ladies and men in the house. To my worth opponent, as we just said on the religious issues to do with God sending us out to procreate, I have a question for you. Did God give Adam a wife at 16 years for them to procreate? Think about that. Also talking about the issues of infertility in many other stories. How many of us have ever seen anywhere written that a person was found infertile or had issues related to pregnancy because of using contraceptives? That's just a mere propaganda. We are what our physique is, since we exist in a society of diversity. That was said by the late Wangari Maathai. About 70% of teenagers who drop out of school, most of them being girls, whenever asked of the reason behind that, they have pregnancy as the key reason. Now, people in the house, let me just ask you a question. What do you think? Is abstinence practical? You cannot shoe a running hose. That's true. We have to accept the fact that the youths are doing it. They're indulging themselves in sexual activities. Now, why should we deny them the fact that they have to use these contraceptives? Yet, abortion is illegal in Kenya, and we all know that. Since they cannot be allowed to terminate these pregnancies, let's issue them with the contraceptives. Please, don't be adamant to these ladies and gentlemen in the house. We have many cases of early pregnancies and girls dropping out of school. This is a very serious issue. Where are we going to get the professors in future? Where are we going to get these doctors, the nuns, and all these professionalists that you need to make Kenya a very bright country, a very as in a country that can be used by other countries for an example, to have Kenya as a role model? We have to issue them with the contraceptives. Please, take this from me. You never know something till you've tried it out. The wise men correct themselves from the fault of the others. We cannot stand, we cannot sit to see our girls' mess. We cannot stand and wait to see our country filled up with street children just because the girls drop out of the school. The boys are chased out of their homes with their parents because of bringing shame to them by impregnating other girls. This will be very bad. It won't make anything. It won't add any value to we Kenyans. Since all of us know very well that Kenya is a country, we have a vision, the Vision 2030. We all need to drive to that vision. We are all aided for that vision. Please, don't be adamant to this. Please don't. I'm Faith Kasaja, speaking on behalf of the youths out there who need these contraceptives to protect themselves. We need it urgently. Please, do that. Thank you.
Opposition, you also have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
Prevention is better than cure. Consolata Chapter from St. Mary's Girls' Churches. Imagine if your mother had decided to use contraceptives on that day that you were supposed to be conceived. Would you be here? Would I be here? No. Actually, you won't be here. So, my fellow colleague, you just said that God ordered us not to use contraceptives when you are 16 years old. So, did God order us to start practicing sex so that you can use contraceptives because they are available? No, he didn't do that. And to my first point, use of contraceptives has led to increased chances of obtaining diseases such as cancer, HIV, and AIDS. These also have led to the self-esteem being lowered among the youth. Okay, let me ask you also a question. What will you do if you use contraceptives? Then, let's say you've taken the tea coil, planted into your fallopian tube. Then the tea coil starts to rust. You know it's made of copper. Then it's rust in your body. Then it does away. You're given two choices. You either do away with your fallopian tube or you die. What would you do? Let's avoid chances of having such dilemmas by not using contraceptives. It is against the religious norms. All of us here are Christian religious, and all of us are religious practitioners. So, you can't go on telling me that you'll use contraceptives, yet, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, it says, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So, how can you take contraceptives, piling them inside your body, that you are preventing conception? You're preventing conception. Why don't you abstain? Why don't you follow your principles, your esteem, and all will be well with you? I don't agree with the use of contraceptives, control teenage pregnancies. I totally disagree with that. And to my third point, we find that all these contraceptives have different levels of these effects and their side effects. Now, how can you use contraceptives? Then, in the morning, you're in school, yes. In the morning, you wake up, go behind your dormitory, vomit, that is nausea. During the day, you also have these blood clotting, heavy bleeding. Why should you subject yourself to such trauma? Why should you? Tell me, why should you subject yourself? This is actually not true. Contraceptives, no.
Zaidi ya yote inabaki kuwa M-Pesa mambo yote haibadiliki kamwe.
Take part in the M Challenge by sending your short song, rap, or poem about Safaricom M-Pesa on WhatsApp, and you could win 1,000 shillings in Safaricom airtime.
Proposition have been asked, isn't the use of contraceptives in teenagers a gateway to them having a lot of premarital or young sex? And of course, the opposition have been asked to expound more on the use of preventative contraceptives, such as condoms, as opposed to just maybe T-coils and the rest that they've talked about. Proposal number 3, you have 3 minutes.
Abstinence is not practical. We have to accept the fact that teenagers are having sex out there. By giving them these contraceptives, doesn't mean that when they're on their heat rush, that they must go out there and just have that sex. No, it's just a way of giving them. When a child wants something, the child will want to have it. The child will have curiosity to know how it tastes. So when giving these adolescents these contraceptives, you're just showing them that they can have sex, but it will be safe to their side. Onto the question from the audience is that they asked, are we showing that when the adolescent are on their heat rush, they cannot control their urges? We are not saying that. We are supporting that. Giving these contraceptives to these adolescents, it can enable them to have better decision making when they want to have that sex. They cannot get pregnant. At least in their future, they'll have protected their future. And you're basing on adolescent. This is the age that it's the period that they're still in school. They're still teenagers. We are giving this so that they can be able to finish first their school and protect their future that is ahead of them. On to my point, I'd like to say that by giving these contraceptives to these children, once a girl is pregnant, when she goes back home, how do you expect the parents to react? Obviously, these children are chased out of their homes. While being chased, they end up going to the streets, thereby increasing the number of street children out there. So by giving them the contraceptives, we expect that these children will at least not get to that point where they get pregnant. On to my other point is that by giving them the contraceptives, it will not only prevent the pregnancy, but it will also assist in preventing and controlling STIs and HIV and AIDS diseases. There are examples of contraceptives like condoms. Condoms assist people. It also prevents AIDS, and at the same time, it can also prevent people from getting pregnancies. And onto my other point is that the adolescents will be given contraceptives to suit their bodies. They won't be given things like the implantation. They will have to find a way of giving them the contraceptives that is right for their body. They can't give them pills. Obviously, when you're in school, when you're given pills, obviously they'll forget taking the pills. So they can go for the barrier method. The barrier method is the use of condoms, the use of femi-condoms, and also they can go for the use of the implantation. Hereby is where the adolescent will be able to cope with that. Will be able to cope with that contraceptive that she's been given. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
I would like to answer, Rose, the question that you posted about condoms. Condoms. How sure are you during sexual intercourse that condom won't burst? How sure are you? And their organization claiming they're 100% sure. They need to clarify. Condoms aren't made of metals, aren't they? On to my point. When you encourage use of contraceptives, this will encourage the teenagers to be more engrossed in sex. And in the Bible, I remember Mary conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit. She was a virgin, and simply she abstained, didn't she? So the main thing here is to abstain. There is no cost on abstaining. There is totally no cost in abstaining, because you'll not lose anything at the end of the day. Instead of risking many things that will cost your life, you can imagine a person who was he was very well in health-wise, and then when it comes to the right age of conceiving, she's told that you cannot have a child. Why? Because the contraceptive you've used, it has come to a point that there is no way that you can have a child. And yet in school, as we are teenagers, you're in school, you've worked hard for that kid you want. Whom will benefit from your efforts at school? So I would like you to abstain. And these issues of contraceptives, let us leave them behind.
We'll now hear closing submissions. Proposers, you have 1 minute.
As I said earlier on, 70,000 of girls in the world are dying. Now, audience, from that 70,000, one of that girl can be your daughter, your relative, your friend. How would you feel? I am trying to say here that when we give you contraceptives, it's not a ticket, it's not a go-ahead that go and have sex. We're trying to tell you that if you must have sex, please have protected sex. You have a future beyond you, a future that you have to protect. Now, it said, starting is half the job. If you're not part of the answers, you're part of the problem. I will not allow myself to be part of the problem while I have the answers. Contraceptives. Adolescents should be provided with contraceptives. In a country of blind men, the one-eyed man is the king. And I would like us to look at it from this perspective. Teenagers or adolescents are losing it outside there. We cannot control ourselves while we have TVs, we have pornographic videos, we have people whom we imitate as our role models, doing things which are sexually immoral, and expect me to back down. Thank you.
Opposition, you also have a minute for your final submission.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Daisy Chelagat on stage opposing the use of contraceptives. According to Dr. Dominic Karanja, the chair of Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, he said that most Most youths now use contraceptives only to prevent pregnancy, forgetting that we have STIs and STDs. It is not 100% that the condoms prevent STIs and STDs. What is the use of not getting pregnant and having STIs and STDs? So I say no to contraceptives, period. Another point is that we are talking here about immorality and all the view. If I'm a youth, I know very well that there's a method that I can prevent pregnancy. I'll be playing sex every now and then. That is reality. I won't abstain sex simply because I know there's a way that I can prevent pregnancy. So I firmly stand here to oppose the motion and say that contraceptives, no. If you're true youths, if you're teenagers, and sex before marriage is not allowed in Christianity, please stand forth with me and put no to contraceptives. I say no to contraceptives. Thank you.
Give contraceptives, St. Teresa, that's what you're standing for. And I want to appreciate Lavender Minor. I mean, you really start off the team very well. It was a very good start. In fact, I wrote very confident, good start, convincing submissions, good mastery of topic, good research. And you know, even when you come to the ending, it shows that you're well read. That was a very good start for your team. Faith, you also come in across very well, cross-examining the team. But you said a statement that I thought St. Mary's would pick up. You know, when you say that you have not heard of a situation where contraceptives don't have side effects. And I thought the cross-examination would have taken that up, because we know that there are some contraceptives that are not good for some people. Well, nonetheless, you came across very well as a good cross-examiner. There's a contradiction you gave when you say the statement that you never know something until you have tried it out. And then the next sentence that you said was that wise men correct themselves from the faults of others. That simply means you're trying to allude to the fact that experience is a good teacher, but you don't have to go through it. But you also contradicted yourself on that. So I guess sometimes it's good to be cautious on that. But the cross-examination as well did not notice that. So Betty, good tackling of questions, composed, and good utilization of time.
St. Mary's girls, I lacked expert opinion in your presentation. And at one point I asked myself, did you just think things through? Or did you get to some source and carried out a research? I think the only time I heard of expert knowledge was from Daisy when you were making your final submission and you made reference to a medical practitioner and the perception that he has concerning the motion. But all through the presentation, there were no figures, there was no statistics. It's important to realize that in a debate, we draw conclusion from facts, and therefore you should present your fact and then draw your conclusion. Daisy, I love your voice, first of all. You have a good voice. And I also love your presentation. Apart from what I've told you, we need evidence to support whatever thing you're talking about. Consolata, prevention is better than cure. I love the quote. And I also love a lot of things that you've raised. The issue of religion also can be divisive. You know that about religion. But I also agree that this motion touches on our values. And to address matters to do with our values, we've got to go back to the religious books. So I credit you also for that. And finally, Velma, condoms aren't made of gold, are they? I think at some point you're mixing the question tags, the mini question, you're not sure which one to use. So you can check on your language. And also, you can do just a little more to improve your presentation to avoid hesitating a lot. Nonetheless, it was a fair attempt.
St. Mary's, I think you made some very dangerous statements, and realize that when people are watching this program, they are learning, they are taking notes out of it. And your credibility as a speaker and the credibility of your school also counts. And so when you give us misguided facts or myths about contraceptives, then there's a challenge there. If you're certain, about some of the things that you're saying, then you need to attribute that information to a source. So who's the authority behind some of the things that you were saying? And I think that was missing in your submission. I love the passion. You're very passionate about it. And you invoke emotions, especially when you start talking about your religious beliefs, which is a good thing. But if you had an authority behind what you were saying, I think you'd have done very, very well.
The judges awarded St. Mary's Girls Tach Asis 69.1%.
And to St. Teresa of Avila girls, they saw it fit to give them 71.5%.
Therefore, St. Teresa are our winners for the debate, and we'd like to thank Safaricom M-Pesa and KBC Channel 1, and kindly follow us on Twitter at Great Debaters EA. I've been your host, Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bashar. Keep watching. We'll see you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.